Collecting is frustrating. It's fun going around to all the different places that you can go to try and find a game that you've always wanted, but nowadays it's almost impossible to find those games for low prices. I've had this experience way too many times. Try buying a Pokemon entry from the DS or earlier. Even for Pokemon Black, it's over 100 Australian dollars. It's absolutely insane. I just want Pokemon Black! Legally. But game collecting is pretty fun though. I really enjoy doing it, especially in Japan. I'm a huge collector of just stuff, and finding all of these different things in Japan was extremely fun. I was mainly looking for Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7, which only released physically in Japan for God knows what reason, but walking through the streets of Japan, going to all the different retro video game stores, it was just so much fun. Walking through stores, getting lost in the aisles, looking at all the different and unique stuff I could find, it was just so great. I went to Japan in 2023 and walked around Akihabara. That's where all the cool stuff is. It's often said this is where everything is more expensive, but compared to the prices that I've had to deal with, my god, this was cheap. I've managed to get so many things that I could only dream of here, and that's the feeling I like when game collecting. Japan in general is such a cool place to go for that type of stuff. I went around the release of Pikmin 4, and just seeing all of the advertisement for Pikmin 4, walking into the incredibly busy Nintendo store to buy the Famicom Nintendo Switch Online controllers, it was just so much fun. Going to stores like Hard Off, Super Potato, and all of the smaller stores in Japan was just incredible. I managed to get so much stuff for such low prices. I'm not trying to resell any of these games, so I'd only buy what I was interested in, but look at all these Game Boy Advance games I got for just 300 yen, or 330 yen if you want to be specific. That's really insane to me. I just find collecting in Japan, being able to walk to video game stores and find the coolest games you could ever see for next to nothing was just so much fun. However, clearly, people who want to resell the games or just buy the games to make a YouTube video to then resell them is kind of what ruins it for me. Guys, I'm not talking about myself. Everyone else is stupid. Not me. Look, not everyone that makes videos collecting games in Japan or literally anywhere ruins it. I bought All Night Nippon Super Mario Bros. Not because it's this really rare game that there's only 3,000 copies of and I want it graded to then put on a shelf. I wanted All Night Nippon Super Mario Bros. So I could play All Night Nippon Super Mario Bros. On my actual Famicom disk system. It's worth like $1,000 by the way. No, I didn't pay that much. But when you hear stories about people going into these stores in Japan buying up all the stock, leading to these stores raising the prices of these games and some stores just completely selling out of games, leaving store shelves completely empty, it's just sad. And you know who's buying up all the games? It's not the residents of Japan, no, it's the tourists. Ah, crap. I'm sorry, guys. No, not you. The people who are buying up the games to travel back home to sell the games for ridiculous prices, and also because it's just more popular than it used to be. It's happening with these other things besides from video games. All of these games are going on eBay to be sold at stupid prices that you should never buy. Well, thank you, weird voice. Look, I'm going to Japan soon, so I'll report back to you and tell you what going to all these stores look like. But it's just sad seeing all of these games disappearing off of these shelves because people want to resell them and make YouTube content about reselling them. Honestly, you should really only buy what you're interested in. That's what I do. I don't need to buy a store's entire collection of Famicom Disk System games. I'll just buy the Marios and Zeldas and be on my way, thank you very much. The next problem of game collecting is the prices. Do you want to buy Pikmin 2? You wanna buy it? It's at least $100, if not more, for the GameCube version anyway. The Wii version isn't that it's just the GameCube version. Like my god, the only way to get it cheap is to get the NTSC version. But why is it this bad? Why is Pikmin 2 so expensive? Nostalgia. I don't have a problem with it, but it can lead to absolute hell when it comes to collecting. I don't know if you've ever looked at comic books, but if a comic's more than like 20 years old, even 10 years old, and it's a somewhat major event or an issue one, whether it be the Infinity Gauntlet storyline or the death of Superman, it's very expensive. Of course, luckily for comic books, if you don't care about getting first editions, it doesn't really matter what version of the comic you get. Big storylines like this are often reprinted, either singular issues or in those bigger books, all of the time, so you don't have to buy the original copies. If you want to read the 90s Secret Wars, You can. If you want to read Crisis on Infinite Earths, just buy the recent reprint. That's what I did. But when it comes to video games, and if the game isn't a part of the most recent generation, there's no way it's getting reprinted. The only way to get Hell's Kitchen the game for Nintendo Wii is to buy it pre-owned. The game wasn't released digitally, at least on the Wii anyway, and there's no way in hell they're reprinting this game ever again. It'd be really weird if they did. The game isn't that expensive at all, but imagine this for even older games than this. Older licensed games that no one really cares about. They're just lost to time if they aren't archived, and they aren't re-released or reprinted. This of course for some game causes the demand of these games to be higher than the amount of actual copies there are in the world. But then you get to the games that are wanted. This is where things get interesting. Have you ever looked up the price of Game & Wario for the Wii U? For some unknown reason, this game is almost impossible to find for a semi-reasonable price at this point. Yes, for a Wii U game, a console that didn't sell well. There are multiple Nintendo published games that are the same way. I don't know why. It's the same with most Wario games on other platforms too, such as Wario World for the GameCube. Most GameCube games in fact are actually at levels that are a bit too ridiculous. Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, despite the fact that there's a Nintendo Switch remake out, is still at least $200 for the GameCube original. Why? Well, people just want to relive the GameCube era right now. That's just the most common trend. It was the same with the NES and the SNES a few years ago. For a while, people really wanted to go back and play all those classic NES and SNES games from their childhood. Now, the people who bought the Nintendo 64 and more so the GameCube by this point are wanting to go back and buy all of those games. And I'm afraid the Wii is about to hit that point too. The amount of videos on YouTube, TikTok, and more I see of nostalgia all based around the Nintendo Wii and DS is insane. People just want to go back and play those classic Wii games like Wii Sports, Wii Party, and more. I've never seen this many people care about those classic Wii games before, and my god, the prices of these games like Wii Sports are slightly rising. Wii Sports is worth nothing. Like, literally nothing. It was bundled with about 90 if not more % of Wii's, yet copies of Wii Sports are now selling for upwards of $10 Australian. It's barely even worth $1. The thing is, even if you go to places that sell video games, there's thousands of copies of Wii Sports everywhere. But I guess they must just continuously come in and out and in and out for the price to keep getting higher on such a popular game that there's a bajillion units of. Like, I don't really get it, but whatever. It's just annoying. Another fun thing about collecting is just straight up getting the wrong thing, or getting something you already own. This has happened to me countless times, and each time is different from the last. Now, whenever this happens, it's on cheap stuff, so it doesn't really matter that I accidentally wasted $1 or two, but it's always just that little bit annoying. When I bought Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition, it just straight up didn't have the game inside. Like, okay, I already own this version of the game inside the Master Chief Collection, but I would have loved to, you know, actually own the game, the original. Well, you know, whatever, own that version of the game. But that's fine, most Xbox games are literally worth pennies, so I don't really mind having to go out and buy another Xbox game again, big whoop. This also happened for Fallout 3. Now, the first time I got Fallout 3, I got the PlayStation 3 version, and the disc just didn't work. That was annoying. So then I decided to get the Xbox 360 version, and for some reason, it was supposed to come with 2 discs, but I only got one of them. Why? But the worst time is when I bought God of War 2. Now, God of War is an interesting franchise for me. I own a lot of the games in the series, but I haven't actually played any of them. But for some reason, I decided to buy God of War 2. I was really excited that I found this game for such a low price, so I decided to open the game and found Metal Gear Solid 2? I mean, yeah, it's another absolutely incredible video game, but what the hell, this isn't what I wanted. I haven't had really a good experience with the Metal Gear series. Not that I've actually played, like, any of the series, besides from I tried the NES one and I tried the demo of the first one. I've just tried to buy it that many times and it's always gone wrong. I tried to buy the first game and it was a demo disc. Why the hell was a demo disc worth $29? Like, holy crap, and then I accidentally got the second game. Can I not just get Metal Gear Solid on my own terms? That would be nice. So, You want to collect video games too? Well, I have a few tips and tricks that may work. The number one thing I'd say is that if you're on a tight budget, don't go in expecting to find the hits like pretty much any GameCube game or even most Mario games. If you're that desperate to find a Mario game, all you're gonna find is the Mario and Sonic games, specifically the Wii entries, and possibly Mario Power Tennis. Specifically the Wii version. But what you're mainly going to find is games for the Xbox and possibly the PlayStation 2. If you don't want to buy anything for these consoles, don't worry, you don't have to. There's a landfill of Wii games you can buy. And you could try and find some better deals on Nintendo games, but if you're going in with a really low budget, that's kinda all you're gonna find. But that's okay. You begin to appreciate all of these smaller games you find. Mostly. You'll be able to find some quality titles too. For just $10, you can find so many classics out there. The PlayStation 2 is where you can find the most quality with games, like Final Fantasy X, Kingdom Hearts, and more, but there is so much more stuff that you can find. All I'm saying is, be aware of your budget. Don't go overboard buying all of the expensive games at once. Next, don't feel like you have to buy every video game you see. I know I've fallen into the trap before of seeing a Wii game thinking, oh, that would be funny to own, and then I end up with over 100 Wii games. Yet you don't need to do that. If you're buying the games to eventually play them, you don't need to literally own everything. Of course, there are people out there who want to do that, and that's cool. You just need to work out what type of collector you want to be. I may find it stupid if you put your games in glass cases for you to never play them, but that's the collector you are, then that's the collector you are, and just embrace it. I feel like the most important tip I have is to just have fun. I know some people out there like to collect things just to make it a bit of an investment, but my god, that's not fun. Just have fun out there. Do whatever makes you have the most fun collecting video games. Whether that be just going to the big gaming stores and looking through the shelves, going to the smaller stores, or just buying on eBay. Do whatever makes you feel you're having the most fun collecting video games. That's really all you need. Through these tips and tricks, I think you'll be able to become a prime-time video game collector. You'll be able to walk up to your shelf and be as confused as I am not knowing what to play. I mean, seriously, sometimes I just stand there trying to look for a game and then I just give up and sit back on the couch. Like, it's quite depressing, but, you know, that's what happens. Through game collecting is where I found some really cool games and really cool items. I think now is as good a time as any to show you the coolest things I own. All Night Nippon Super Mario Bros. I already talked about it, but it's honestly quite cool that I own this. Mother 1+2 and Pokemon Green. Now both of these games didn't release outside of Japan, but these are reproduction English translations. Super Tetris 2 plus Bombless is quite possibly one of my favorite versions of Tetris. Puyo Puyo Tetris on the Wii U, yeah, it had a Wii U release. A Yokai Watch Just Dance game, it was only 330 yen. Wii Karaoke U, a often forgotten part of the Wii series of games, more so than Wii Chess. Wii Karaoke U only released in Europe and Japan, and only Japan actually got a physical release of Wii Karaoke U. And that's why I love game collecting. I love just being able to look at my shelf and look at all of these incredible works of art sitting on my shelf ready to go whenever I want. It's absolutely incredible. All of these games, whether they be simple little games like a Tetris or these huge games like Super Mario Galaxy, I love the fact that I can just play all these games so damn easily. So hi, I'm Charlie, I'm back, and although I have my problems with game collecting, I personally think, you know, it's quite fun. Sometimes it's bad because I might buy the wrong thing or other issues, but I can't help it. It's fun, as I said. But sometimes it really leads to the worst possible thing. Like owning James Cameron's Avatar the game for Nintendo Wii!
Hey gamers, it's me.
Did you hear that? The game just talked! What the hell is wrong with that thing?